Alright guys, so today we're just going to review the SMC Vector. As you can see, it is a very portable, very lightweight compression member. We're going to talk about today how we use it in a high directional capacity. So it'll have a working load limit of 2 kilonewtons. Really like this. I was a little weary at first in getting it, just doing so much work with Arizona Vortex and tear adapters and other different pneumatic shoring systems as artificial high direction anchors. I just didn't think this was going to hold the test, I guess the test of time, if you will. But it turns out weighing less than 3 pounds, it weighs nothing. It's very packable, about 33 inches long. It rigs quick, it's very lightweight. It's got 2 detachable rigging plates on here that are both 48 kilonewtons apiece. For the configuration we're going to put into today, I have removed the bottom rigging plate, and it's got 2 heads on it, a rounded head, and then this head which accommodates a little screw-in spike here with a little piece of steel in the end of it so it can dig into concrete, grating, whatever the case you might be. One of the things you don't want to do is when you have it rigged is you don't want to have the rigging plate on and jammed into something, so that's why I've removed it for this little demonstration right here. Anyway, let's get right to it. So I think the whole design of this is austere rescue work in the vertical environment, needing to negotiate some pretty nasty edges, but not having the ability or the luxury of packing in hundreds of pounds of equipment. So I brought the whole entire setup today in just 2 bags by myself, and I'll be able to do a raise, lower, 150-foot drop down, and rig an artificial high direction anchor with about 70 pounds of gear altogether. So pretty nice, and this is just a different component of that. So this is what we're going to negotiate. Let me span some rope here. And this is going to be where we're wedging our artificial high direction anchor in. I'm going to put it in at about a 60-degree angle when it's all said and done. I'm going to do front guys right here down to some pre-drilled anchors that are in the wall. But if we didn't have those anchors, we could easily put hex nuts or find something down there to do some 2-bys or some Portuguese bowline tension tiebacks to. But we'll get right to it. What I do before I set it up is I'm going to flake my cordage out, and I'm using Sterling power cord. Stuff's 5.9 millimeter. It's got a really high tensile strength and a really low stretch, so it makes it ideal for our application. Plus, it being so lightweight just kind of adds further into that mentality of packing light and making the most out of your gear. Alright, so I know I'm going to need a terminal end at the top of the rigging plate, so I'm going to put a terminal end here, and then I'm going to bring the loop down to one of our anchors here. There we go. Now we're going to have this returning to the anchor head. And then we got another pre-drilled anchor down here. I'm using the Rock Exotica Rock D's. Great carabiners, lightweight. Of course, not NFPA-G rated, but hopefully we're all past that mark. We feel like we have to have that. This will be my head to here, and then the rest of this I can use for my tie back, my rear guy. So let's get right to it. One of the pros to this is it's designed to use less carabiners than you've probably been used to using in some of your other rigging ensembles. So the very first connection we make is merely putting figure 8 on a bite up through the rigging plate and over the horn. Once we have that, we're just going to hold some tension, and then that tension comes up and around that rigging plate's horn on top. The whole goal here is just to get about the tension you want and then terminate it. I'm going to terminate it with a mule hitch and then a 1/2 hitch, but you could use 2 1/2 hitches or anything you want. You'll see how well it holds once it has all the ropes. Actually, I'm just going to mule overhand just to keep it simple. Now, this dead leg that we have left over, we're just going to take it, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put a figure 8 on a bite, big enough to get up and around the horn, So if you're used to tying them small, just be wary of that. It's not going to work if you do that. Up through one of the holes around the horn. And then this is running backwards to our anchor that we have set back here. And all we're going to do is take some tension on it. There we go. Beautiful. Now this is going to come back up through the same hole that your figure 8 went through, over the horn, and now we're pulling tight. So right here I've got the ability to kind of set the lean angle going down that I want. This is not the complete setup. We're still going to do a tension tie back, but just remember that as we pull the tension tie back, you're going to pull this thing quite a bit. You're going to see lots of movement in it, even though it's a low stretch cord. So just kind of prepare for that. I'm just going to do a mule hitch here, and then there we go. So we can go back and adjust these if we need to, which we might need to. This is the dead leg, not doing anything. This is my running end. So I'm going to take this and just set it down for a second, because the worst thing you want to do is drop it around. I'm going to create one more figure 8 on a bite, up for the rear stay. Now, you could do your rear stay or your rear guy back and to and fro and around the horn, but just to make life a little easier and to be able to pull more tension, because I really want this rear guy to be really tight, I'm going to put a carabiner here, and as we go through our anchor and come back, that's what we're going to use. Now, if I had an anchor set up back there already, I could easily make that connection, but since I don't, I'm going to go back and we'll talk about just doing maybe like a Portuguese bowling for our rear guy, but it would look something like this once it's all tension and tight, and coming back off of here with a 2x. So let's set this down so it doesn't fall over the edge. And we're going to take a look back here at a way to be able to make an anchor. So I've got the other 150 feet of this power cord. The section I'm not using, I'm going to make myself an anchor out of. So, of course, there's thorns. Why wouldn't there be thorns? At this point, I'm just going to ditch my travel restraints, as I don't think I'm going to fall onto the ground. Alright. Okay. In line with where my compression member is going to be coming back, I'm going to make an anchor using the base of this tree, and that tree over there. So what I'll do is do a Portuguese bowl and tie them together. That way I can equalize them directly in line. Beautiful thing about using the power cord in like a 150 foot or a 50 meter section is that even after you've done the rigging with any of your high directions, you can use the remainder of that cordage for anchor systems, all kinds of stuff. So even though it's one long section, I'd rather have that and break it and dead leg it and use it for other things than not have it. So there we go. Take our running in through, try to get all the sticks out of the way. I could have preset this anchor for you, but I wanted to show. I mean, it is a quick system. It's just these are components that people often time will have training scars because they don't video it or they don't show it or they notionalize it. And let's just go ahead and do it like we would do in the real world if we had to come over and make this anchor. So. Alright, so I'm going to fold my knot over, make a marlin spike so that I can come back to this, leave it, and let's do a directional by. I would recommend an anchor placement to avoid thorns in all possibility, just because they suck. Alright, we'll walk our anchor together. Now here, I'm just going to bring a bight of rope through the marlin spike, pull everything back, and then roll my bowline over. All right, beautiful. Now, we're just going to terminate this bight to the running end of the rope, which will give us a becket to be able to run the anchor on. And because we've used the Portuguese or French bowline, whatever you call it, equalizing, we can feed and pull and get this bowline in line with the member we need it in line with. Beautiful. All right. Alright, we're going to take this end here back to the becket we just created. Onto the carabiner. And start pulling tension. Now, back here, we'll set our system and terminate it. If you do a double round turn on your carabiner back here, it does make it easier to capture the tension and hold it. As you see, we've got our direction. There we go. I'm going to pull strands, vector it up a little bit so we can get some tautness out of it. Got my round turn there. Do one more pull. Great. And now I'm just going to put a mule hitch on this. And an overhand. And we're done. Come back in a minute, we'll tidy all this up. So this being the first portion of the video. See how taut this is. I mean, it's not moving anywhere in any direction. And we're going to rig off one of these side plates and bring our rope over the side. Some people have questions on how you actually negotiate this space here or bring a litter up and around, and we'll do some videos on that a little bit later, just to kind of show you how it works, because I can definitely see how it takes some training to get through that, but this thing is sturdy, stable, and not going anywhere. And if I want to bring the angle down a little bit, all I do is pop my muncher mule overhand here and readjust and pull down. All right. what's the point of this? Hey, did you know that I can dance? Could we talk for a while? Well, I think you're smart.